Welcome to the 30 gang. My friends, how are you? This is Patrick. This is the 30 where we are here each week focusing on things that you would like to hear. This month we are celebrating Women's History Month. We started it on last week and we're going to continue it through the month of March. This is episode 130, 139. I'm saying 130. Geez, we're up 9. 139 of the 30. I am your host, Patrick, and we do this each week, as I said. Do me a huge favor. If you want to, make sure that you like and share the broadcast. We have a special guest tonight. Tonight we are going to be talking about tech. It's all about tech talking. She has a plethora of knowledge. Every time I talk to her, it's always amazing. If there's anything that I want to know about tech, there are 3 or 4 people that I go to. And my guess is in the top 2. She's probably the top person that I can go to if I want anything tech. She knows it all. She has a background in tech and software development, and her husband also is in tech. So they know it all. They're what I call a tech family. So anything that I need as far as that, she has it. So I am going to bring her in. She's a friend of the show. You've seen her before. So I'm going to bring her in and let her reintroduce herself to you. And tonight we're just going to have a conversation around what is the latest things that is going on in the tech world, and also talk about her experience as a female in this mostly dominated world of tech. So Sabrina, welcome to the 30.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. I don't know everything about tech at all. I know a little bit.
Well, you know more than I do, which is not saying much, right? So tell our viewers and listeners who you are and what you do, Sabrina.
Yeah. So Patrick said, my name is Sabrina Teekah, and my husband and I own a company called OpEx Consulting Services. And it's mostly, when I really thought about it, it's really all about IT. And he works with medium to larger businesses. I work with smaller businesses and entrepreneurs to really help them get online and have a stronger digital presence.
Great. And as I said, you are no stranger to the 30. One of our friends, I'm just going to go right in here. Erica, shout out
Oh,
to
there's
you.
Erica. Erica knows a lot about
Right.
a
So
lot
that's
of
what I
different
said, my top three, right? And Erica is
Hi,
one of them, but
Erica.
she'll be coming on later on this month. Shout
Mm.
out to you, Erica. So let's go back. I'm not sure if we ever had this discussion, but let's go back to where you started.
So, how I got into, I really don't know how I got into tech, but I'll give you the story of how I started going to school for that. But um, I'm going to date myself, but that's okay. In the 80s, the early 80s, um, I was living in Vancouver in British Columbia. And I was like, okay, so I need to uh, go and get, my degree. Just what am I going to do? And I'm not sure how I actually decided to study software development. And back in those days, we called it programming, but programming these days probably have 100 different definitions. So I learned technology, like programming, really the dinosaur age. But it's coding on cards, assembler, COBOL, different things like that. Really old school, but that's where we were back in the 80s. And so after I did that, I started working in with three guys that had a company called KEA Systems, Key Systems, and they wrote different programs for clients back in the day. Their accounts receivable, different things like that. So that's kind of how I started. I started since then, and um, then when I moved to the US, I worked with a company, a small technology company that did software for hospitals and, admissions, radiology, pharmacy, that kind of thing. And they were bought out by a company called Baxter Travenol at that time. I think they're just called Baxter now. They were in the hospital field and they sold a lot of IVs at that time. And they saw this company as an opportunity to expand their services because they were already in the hospital system. So they bought Dynamic Control, it was called at that time. They bought that and so that's kind of was doing a lot of hospital software. I don't know if you want the whole what happened and what happened next, but
Well, let's talk from there and bring it up a little further, right?
Mhm.
Pre-COVID, and then
Yes.
during COVID, and now kind of, I don't know, do you call it post-COVID or I'm not sure.
I I,
But
I don't know. I call it after COVID, but
okay, all right,
it's really not after COVID. I think
right,
it was still there.
yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what's the
Yeah.
kinder, gentler word for it, I
Yeah.
guess.
So yeah, what's happening? Well, I'm fascinated as to how fast when you look back at the date and how fast things are happening in terms of the speed of major disruption. And what I'm more curious about is major things that happen, life disruptions. I'm always fascinated with that. And as we all know, COVID was a major life disruption. And as business owners, and as education, everybody realized they just had to be online. There was no other way, or just not do any business. So we were all trying to figure out how do we get online. Now, I kind of knew how to get online anyway, but many of my clients were still in the face to face world. So asking them to do an online course or to do something via online was a little bit new. However, COVID speeded up the um, the urgency of being online. So then I would just look and see, well, what were the things that people, that small businesses really needed to be more visible online, to sell something online. And I knew how to create those pieces for them. So that's kind of how I got back into I didn't from a marketing perspective, it wasn't that I had to convince you anymore to be online.
Mhm.
COVID helped me, shatter that misbelief because we just didn't have a choice.
So where are we now? So let's skip over COVID,
So
right?
so right.
So
So
where
right
are we now in technology and what are you seeing?
so there is, I am sure a lot of people are hearing about this AI things. What's happening with AI and what's happening? So there are many different pieces of all types of AI. The piece that I look for is what is happening that can really help us as small businesses do it faster, do it better, and get out there, because my whole thing is how do we accelerate our digital presence?
Mhm.
And that has a lot of different pieces to it. As business owners, we need to be out there. We need to be out there all the time. But creating content all the time takes a lot of work, takes a lot of hours, and especially if you have to write things, it takes, not we're not all writers. We have to it sometimes you have mental blocks, writer's blocks, all kinds of different things. You need different strategies, different things to grow your business. So, the parts that I focus on helping right now, because that is the greatest need for my clients, is actually their sequencing, their strategy, and what sequence will help them reach that particular business goal. So, for example, if I need to grow my email list, I need this thing called a lead magnet, something that'll make it so compelling that when people just find me online, they want to know what this let's take, for example, a checklist of XYZ. They want that because it's so compelling. So they in turn give me their name and email address so I can grow my list. But now when I have them on that list, I can keep marketing to them and say, hey, give them value. Obviously, I'm not going to be trying to sell them something right off the
Mhm.
bat. I'm going to be giving them value, giving them value. Um, so right now, the tool that I'm most fascinated with that helps speed up this process is ChatGPT,
Mm.
which I'm
So
sure people have heard of.
so hold it right there because when we go down this hold of tech, right, there are some of our viewers and listeners. Um, when you say terms like AI, they may not know what that is. So I want you to
Okay.
simplify it for
Okay.
them so that
Yeah.
the average person may know. And our viewers are pretty technical. Our
Right.
most of our
Right.
viewers are pretty technical.
Yeah.
But for those that may not know, so break that down for us. So what is AI? And then
Sure.
secondly, what is a lead magnet? So those
Okay.
two
Okay.
things.
Perfect. So AI is artificial intelligence, and um, there are many different artificial intelligence tools. So basically, it's getting the computer to do a lot more with. I'm going to simplify this in a very very simple way. It's helping you to do more work without it having to think so much. So, for example, when I coded, we had to tell it all kinds of things. But right now, the computers are getting so smart that you can give them certain instructions and they can start actually gathering and reading through thousands of pages of data faster than we can as human beings and give you back an answer, or let you we have some of those that you put the now I'm blanking on the name. You put the glasses on and you actually see virtual reality different things, right? So all of those are a little bit more advanced artificial intelligent tools. Hopefully that answered this question. And then on the other hand, a lead magnet is, I guess the reason why it's called a lead is because we are building our pipeline of leads so that they, they're prospects, right? So that we can eventually offer them some value. And then if they want to have more, we have some product or some physical product, some digital product that will help them solve a specific problem or a specific challenge. You're on mute, Patrick.
There we go. So where are we now in relation to AI? I've been reading seems like most companies are trying to get there. Google and others are trying to get there. But then there's some miscues, right?
Mhm.
And there's some discussion about the value of AI. Where
Yeah.
are we with that?
So the parts that I focus on, I want to know how I can use any of these new technologies to speed up how fast, as a small business, we can get our work done. Content creation, um, emails, um, there's so many things that it can help us to have a first draft. It is not a cut and paste. Do not cut and paste. You need to know your subject matter if you're going to ask an AI tool to generate you or create you some information. So, for example, I'm using and I'm testing at the moment ChatGPT on how I can use that tool to build a funnel faster. Now, if you don't understand the strategy, then just putting random words in does not a good result. You're not going to have a good result. Like in programming years ago, we used to say garbage in, garbage out.
Mhm.
So you don't have a good prompt, which in this case it's called a prompt. You're having a conversation with this tool that, let's say, can you give you a simple example? Can you generate me a smoothie? I have bananas and milk and blueberries. It will bring you back a recipe,
Hmm.
right? So there's many things like learning how to talk to it. It's a conversational tool. When I first started looking at it, it's not very, it's only been out, I think, don't quote me on this. Let me see if I have it in my notes. I think it maybe early, maybe December of last year, but within, I think it's December 4th, I think. And by January, it had 1 million users. And now I think it has, I don't know how many hundreds of millions.
Wow.
It's so fast. It catches on so fast, but it is a point. Um, it's a disruptor, like how COVID was a disruptor, where it forced us to think about how are we going to do business.
Hmm.
This is a technology disruptor. It
Wow.
is another place that if we don't try to understand how to use it to our benefit, we're going to be left behind. We're absolutely going to be left behind because it's not going away. It's just getting better and better. We just have to learn how to use it properly for what we need to use it for. And we also have to know that the result it's giving back to us, that it makes sense,
Sure. Sure.
right? So,
Er-
um,
Erica says me and GPT are best friends.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. It can do so many different things in terms of helping you speed things up,
Yeah.
right? In terms of helping you speed things up. And it's not just for business. You can also use this. I actually had a post on Chat GPT in everyday life, right? So I was like, okay, I really need to create a walking routine. I can only walk 1 mile a day or something like that. Can you help me formulate that? And then it gives me Sunday, do this, Monday, do this. Then I can add to it. It's like, okay, if I want to add weight loss to that, can you suggest which smoothie I should drink or give me a recipe? There's so many things that you can add to it and create a more intelligent conversation, really getting the answers back you need because it is scanning the entire. Hello, Alfreda. It's scanning the entire, volumes and volumes of information. If you think about back in the old days, you had to have an encyclopedia to look
Sure.
at certain things. It's just like, and then it took forever. And now it's like fast, fast, fast.
So which one? So Chat GPT is one, and
Mhm.
I've read there are a couple others out there. What are some of the other competing AI
Well, I
tools?
think Microsoft and Google are working on an equivalent, to sort of, but this one sort of got out in front of them. And so I'm not really paying attention to those
Hmm.
because this one is doing the functions and things that I need to have it done for me and my clients because then I can help them get their stuff done faster.
Great.
Yeah. Yes, you can do it with video transcripts. That's another thing, a good point that Erica has there. If I want to generate a 10 YouTube videos on a specific topic, I can ask it to give me some ideas for 10 different topics on leadership or on training or on coaching. And then I can see what the results is. And then I fine tune, can you add XYZ? Or, so you start fine tuning the conversation. So the thing is like anybody can use Chat GPT. The quality of the response is really dependent on you the request was asked, right?
So the
And
types of questions that you ask is
exactly,
important.
and how,
Okay.
right. Because you can also ask it to use frameworks. If let's say there's a marketing framework or a sales framework that's very well known,
Hmm.
you can say use this framework and it knows the framework. But you as a person asking need to also know what the framework is saying because it can still give you an error, right? So you also have to know. But the way I'm using it is really just to speed things up.
Sure. Let's see here. Let's check the chat here. Erica says Bing has a
Bing is
free
for okay.
chat AI. So Bing is more, I think that's
On the Microsoft
Microsoft.
side?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm. And
right.
then one of your Raven fans, my wife, very interested. Great to see you,
Good to
Sabrina.
see you, Stephanie.
So, so I know you are working on something, a master class, and you had sent me some information on it. Talk
Mhm.
about that. I think it's called the speed of major disruptions.
Well,
Talk about what that is and when the
yeah.
class is and who can join, because it, count me in. Whenever it
Yeah.
is, I'm
So
there.
okay. So I've been going back and forth with should it be a class, should it be a this? So I've landed on I I think I'm gonna do an overview masterclass. So that because the longer implementation of this tool and funnels is what is going to happen, right? So, for example, um, in the masterclass, I'll do an overview of, okay, if you want to create a lead magnet funnel, these are all the pieces you need to have. It's not, but this is the strategy, right? There is a specific strategy because the sequence need to go within the strategy. I'm going to give you a simple example. For example, when you're going to uh, go through, one of the steps in the strategy is telling the prospect, why is this a good opportunity? This is a So for me, I'm gonna say, okay, why is ChatGPT used with this funnel strategy? Why is it a good? Because it just helps you create your content faster. Obviously you have to know how you're going to ask it and what you're going to ask. So then what is the another part of that strategy is, what are you thinking in your head? So I could say, okay, we're using ChatGPT, and most people are going to say, oh, I heard about ChatGPT. I can do that. And yes, you can. But do you understand how to have the conversation with ChatGPT? That's going a little bit deeper based on the strategy you're implementing. Does that make sense, Patrick?
It does make sense. Yeah. So if we look at it, I'm looking at your flyer here, the speed of major disruptions. And
Mhm.
you have the beginning dial-up modem.
I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Oh
Erica,
yeah.
you're too
Oh
young to
yeah.
remember that.
No, no, it's like bzzz. But believe it or not, I hope people aren't using dial-up anymore. but I look at a date that was in the 70s or
That
80s.
was in the
In the
80s. And
80s,
then think
okay.
about it. The internet was in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay.
Remember the dot-com era
Yes.
where that came about?
Right.
That was in the late 1990s, 2000s.
Okay.
It's not that far ago, not
I
long
know.
ago. Then they came social media. Social media started really hitting about 1997, and it's still going, right? Now, when social media first came out, I don't know if you remember that, because at that time I attended BNI and different networking meetings and stuff, and everybody was like, well, what the heck is that? We're not
Mhm.
doing that. We're not going online. And then now it's like we have to, right? Then now ChatGPT is January 2023, and that's just exploded.
And before that
Exploded.
was when both you and I think Erica and some others from Teekah Talks, we were trying to get on Clubhouse, but and
Oh,
Clubhouse
that's right. I
is still,
forgot to put
yeah,
Clubhouse in there.
and
That's
Clubhouse
in
is still
social
blowing
media.
up.
That's in social media. Yeah.
Right. So
Yes.
they are. It seems like technology is expanding so and moving so quickly that
Exactly. Now, here is the thing with anything, that technology can be a bright shiny object, or it could be very focused to help you get somewhere.
Mm,
So, this is why I'm only focusing on this particular piece, because it helps me with something I'm already doing. It just accelerates it. So I'm collapsing time for my clients.
sure, sure. Alfreda says this is very informative. Thank you, Alfreda. And
Thank you.
Erica says Gen X here. I remember dial-up.
Tech is very shiny. It is very shiny. It's fascinating. It's
Sure.
fascinating. But I know I can go down a rabbit hole and spend hours because I'm fascinated with it. So I have to pull myself back in and rein myself out. So okay, I'm not using that tool. It's like any tool that you use, right? You have StreamYard, we have Zoom, we have Erica knows all the different ones.
Yeah.
Erica uses a lot of them, but she has a specific need for a specific thing. But we can go off, we can do virtual events in so many different platforms. But There you go. I focus I focus on just a few tools because um I realize that I need to know what's happening and I need to say, okay, is that a tool I can use
Mhm.
or will it just, pull me down a rabbit hole? So you have to know about the different pieces that's going on and then determine, do you want to add that to your tech stack or do you want to, or you say, it's not it's not going to benefit me at this point.
No, you and Erica and Zakia, who we'll have
Yes,
coming up here shortly. There's a saying that we use when we're in training, and I tell our leaders all the time, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to switch the
exactly.
room.
Totally.
And
Totally.
when I'm with you guys, I feel, oh my gosh, I feel like if I know nothing,
I know how
it's like
you feel
starting from
when
scratch. So it tells me I'm in the right room because it's like, wow, I'm
I'm
amazed.
well, I'm like you, Patrick. When I'm in the room with Erica, I'm like, which tool are you using? What is it doing? I'm always fascinated, it's
It is great. This is a fantastic conversation. We can go on and on. Let's talk about where do you see things going next? I know you talk about chat uh,
Chat GPT.
GPT and the other AI tools. Where do you see things going next? Especially, I know you're focused on virtual. That's big. Where is virtual going? Is it going away first and foremost? And then where do you see tech going from, if you were to guess?
Okay, so first virtual. Virtual is not going away. And that comes out of the experts that do events, massive events every single weekend, every single week, all year long, and generate. These are entrepreneurial events, education events. They generate, that's how the entrepreneurs are really selling their services now because they have a broader reach. So in the entrepreneurial world, it's getting bigger.
Hmm.
Now, in the education space, like, conferences and stuff, I'll just tell you from what I see. It may not be the trend, but this is what I see on just my side of it. I see that they understand that there is a virtual option. They desperately want to go back in person.
Hmm.
The in person starts creating a couple more challenges because we've spent over 3 years on the virtual option. People don't want to, it's more of an effort, it's more expensive to actually do the in person. So there's a pull right there, right? So what they have to do, what organizations have to do is have a virtual option. So now we have the hybrid, right? Where we have the in person and the thing. One of the things that I many people haven't quite grasped as yet, if you're a speaker and a panelist or whatever at a live in-person event and you have a virtual audience or vice versa, the design of the whole flow needs to accommodate both audiences. So, as a speaker in the live space, you need to reach out and you need to acknowledge your virtual audience because then the virtual audience just feel like a leftover,
Sure, sure.
right? And vice versa. So there I see that speakers need a lot more training in terms of that because they're not accustomed to it. Also, let's say they're resetting the room. Can you please take your seats now? Well, you have 200 people in person, and no, it's not going away. And you have 100 people online. You do not say take your seats anymore, or you need to add take your seats and your virtual audience, turn your cameras on. So you have more of this, but that still, I think, might take a little bit more time.
Well, Sabrina, this is fascinating. I can talk about this stuff all day and all night.
I know, I
That's
know.
part of my nerdum, um, which I don't mind. I embrace it because I hear it here in the house uh, from my significant other, from my dear wife. So yes, I love being a nerd, and it's okay to be a nerd.
It's okay to be a nerd. I'm right there with you, Patrick.
There we go. There we go. So Erica says, let's get one more comment. Tech tools and automation. I love them. We're
Yes,
going to get
Erica.
more involved and talk about automation because
Yes.
that's something that I really want our viewers to know more of. So when Erica
Mhm.
comes in, I think
Yeah.
she's going to join us on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So we have Zakia coming up, and then Erica and Zakia is going to talk about, which is a totally different thing that people are, this is going to blow
Absolutely.
people's mind
Yes. Yes.
about the
Yes.
whole
I'm excited
metaverse
for
and,
that.
and
Yes.
oh my gosh. So we have
And
some,
those are partly AI. Those are AI as well, right? So
right.
it's all in that conversation.
So I am excited as we celebrate Women's History Month. We have some fantastic ladies that are coming up as we move forward and continue with Tech Talk. Sabrina, I want to thank you so very much. Any last words for our audience? I know we've gone over, but any last words for our viewers and listeners?
If you want to learn a little bit more about ChatGPT and how you can start using it for your business, I will give Patrick a link to this masterclass that's coming up. Um, and just come, hear some of the things. See, I'll do some demos on some of the things, and then I will show you how it's being implemented on what I'm doing for clients.
Great. So as soon as you get the information, forward it over to me,
I
uh,
will.
and then we'll go from there. Sabrina, thank you again. I greatly appreciate it, and we will see
Thank
you
you,
pretty
Patrick.
soon.
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
So we've been talking to Sabrina Teekah. She is, as I said, if I'm looking for information around tech, around virtual, around dashboards, Sabrina is one of my go-to. So I want to thank her for taking the time to join us and talk about AI and what she's seeing in the future for virtual. As she says, virtual is not going away. We have to learn how to combine in person and virtual. So make sure that that is something that we all need to be trained on. I'm looking forward to her masterclass so that we can learn more. Next week, I think next week is the 16th, we will have Erica on. She'll be uh, talking about what she has coming up, and she'll also be talking about tech tools and automation as we move forward and we celebrate women in the month. Well, we celebrate women all year round, but specifically in the month of March, which is Women's History Month. Well, friends, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being my continuous, valuable, exciting guests, listeners, viewers. Continue to support the 30. Continue to spread the word. We're here each and every week, whether you're watching us live or in replay. We will have something coming up special, and I think it's April. I'm going to be talking about that as we celebrate our 150th episode as well as our third anniversary. We're going to try to combine both of them, and we're going to expand it not just to 30 minutes, but we'll expand it to 60 minutes because we have a lot to do. We'll have a lot of guests, and we'll have a lot of giveaways coming up. So you'll hear more about that. I'm also going to be talking down the road about two other projects that we're going to be focused on in the year of 2023. So stay tuned. This is exciting. There is a lot of stuff going on, and you need to stay tuned to the 30 because we are here to give you knowledge so that you can expand or enhance your personal, professional, and spiritual lives. Well, that's about it for now. May God bless you and your family. We'll see you next week.
And this is